Hello friends and fashion lovers, you're welcome back. In today's tutorial, I will be showing you how to fix an invisible zipper in a dress with a lining. Yes, this is like one of the highly requested video in this channel, and I decided to do it having in mind that most of the people here could be beginners. Without much of a talking, let's get right into how to fix a zipper. Firstly, you want to ensure that your zipper is in good condition, that it zips properly. Next is to prep your fabric. Here, I have added a little bit of a fusible interface just to stabilize this part that I'm going to be sewing in my zipper. If your zipper is long, you would like to cut it, especially for children's ball dress. After cutting, you would like to seal the end. That's if you're cutting from the down part. So I like to take the part I'm going to throw away and just cut the down part and zigzag it. This way I know that the end is sealed. But how do you know how much to cut? You have to measure the length of the opening that you want to install the zipper. And when you're done measuring this length, make sure that your zipper is 2 inches longer than the opening. At least 2 inches more than the opening. If you're using an invisible zipper foot, you have to skip this step. This next step is mostly for people that are using regular zipper foot, like this ones. The next step is unzip your zipper, turn to the back of it where you have the coil. You are going to iron or push away this coil. So you have to check the setting of your iron and make sure that it's set to synthetic. You don't want this iron too hot so that you don't burn the tip of your zipper. So iron open the states. Whether you're using a long or a short zipper, the procedure is pretty much the same, and you're doing it on both sides of your zipper. When you're done, you have to place it this way, making sure that the part that you're going to zip up is facing upward. Now you just have to twist the coil and make sure now that the coil is going to be facing you. Remember that when the zipper, the way you're going to be zipping your dress is facing upward, the coil is in the middle. So you have to keep it straight, make sure that it's facing upward, then you turn the coil side to yourself. And you are going to be placing it along your zipper allowance. Assuming you have marked out your zipper allowance, place the zipper right there and pin it in place. It is important to pin it in place and making sure that the zipper is straight along with the fabric. And when you get to the down part, what I like to do to ensure that it is even is tuck the end of my zipper in, use my hand, that's my thumb and my finger, to grab it, tuck it in, hold on to it, making sure that the part that you had pinned or secured in place is straight. Then you are going to locate a point on the unpinned side. That's while holding your zipper. You need to make sure that that part is straight. It's just a little trick I use. Then you adjust this part that you haven't pinned, and there you go. You have to start pinning it from there. That way you are sure that your zipper is straight enough. Another way you can go about this is to mark. My little secret is to hold on to it before pinning the second side. Now that the second side is pinned, you're supposed to have the same left over at the top on both sides. It should be even at this side. You can just go ahead and check it out. Next is to take to your sewing machine and give it a basting stitch just to have this zipper in place. For this, I will be using my zipper foot. I am not going to be giving it the basting stitch. You might be using a foot like this, but I am using the snap-on because that is what my sewing machine requires. Once again, I am not going to be using a basting stitch, but you can use the basting stitch to be sure that's the longest stitch in your sewing machine, to be sure that the zipper is in place before sewing. But I am not doing that. I'm just going ahead to sew. An important tip for you to note while sewing your zipper is sew as close to the coil as possible. Do not sew on the coil. If you sew on the coil, your zipper won't zip. You want to sew as close to your coil as possible. And when you sew on one side, just turn over and sew the next side as well. You might end up running 2 stitches depending on how close you are to the coil. And when you are done, now it's time to push in your zipper head. You need to tap it up so that it appears on the right side. So you want to go ahead and zip. Things to notice: if you have a joining like this one, you need to ensure that it is even. Your joining should be even. And when it is even and you're satisfied with it, if it wasn't close to the edge of the coil, you can run it again. But if it was close, you need to bring up your lining this way. If it's a ball dress, you have to have the right side facing each other, both your lining and your main fabric, the way you stitch your bodice. So you are bringing the zipper allowance to, and you're going to have this pin together. What I mean is you flipped your lining and you pin it right side facing each other. And when you're done pinning, you have to sew 1/4 inch away from your previous stitch. It is important. I am using a black thread here just to show you how it looks. You just have to sew your lining 1/4 inch away from your zipper stitch line. Using your other finger to guide your lining and your main fabric, to line them up properly. And when you are done, right here I sew mine 1/4 inch. You want to bend the excess towards the lining part and stitch on top. You want to stitch and let the stitch line match your previous stitch. Bend it towards the lining and you stitch. After stitching, you can see how it looks now. After stitching my stitch, don't forget the lining is stitched 1/4 inch away, and after stitching you will have excess on top. Just use your scissors and trim that off. You're going to be repeating this same step for the second side. After sewing, just trim that excess stopper off. Right now it's pretty much ready, but one more step. To ensure that your zipper lies down properly, you have to zip it up a bit. and go ahead and stitch down your zipper at this end. You're going to stitch that down nicely. You don't want this zipper end flipping around, so you have to stitch that to secure it in place. When you're done securing your zipper end, go ahead and turn your fabric right side out. Yes, now your zipper should be properly fixed at this point. You need to push out this end. You could just use something to aid you with that, and when you're done, if you did it properly, the end here should be even, and the zipper too should be pretty much alright at this point, and the lining properly concealed. So whether it's for a ball dress or for an office dress, it's pretty much the same. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Thank you. Bye for now. See you in another tutorial.